the third option. George took the third option. Well, thanks. Thanks a lot, George. Everyone else's lives. Unsurprisingly, Gob hadn't imagined that he'd give an answer like that. She had been sure that he'd choose the same one as Jessica, so she was interested in how he had reached that answer. How he had reached an answer that had surpassed the imagination of the 33rd ranked of the 72 demons. I want you to tell me the circumstances that made it possible for you to sacrifice the lives of everyone else so that you and the fiancé you love would be safe. Did you use the process of elimination like Jessica? Wrong. I clearly have no choice except this one. So you don't care what happens as long as it's good for you. So you can sacrifice the world for the woman you love. What are you even talking about? What? George faced the demon as he spoke, almost as though he was disgusted. Tonight, I planned on calling Shannon right here and giving her this ring as proof of our engagement. There probably are quite a few people who wouldn't celebrate an engagement between me and Shannon. I was prepared to make enemies of the entire family by announcing my engagement to her. I have been prepared. Since the time I came to this island, no, that's not it. Since the time I confessed that I wanted to engage her. So you can sacrifice everything else as long as you can get married? Marriage means continuing to be your wife's ally for your whole life. At that point, I was prepared to have the entire world as my enemy for her sake. Those words, through the three-sided mirror, also reached Shannon's ears, and that determination reached her eyes. Shannon certainly had promised to be given an engagement ring tonight. Then this incident had occurred, and she hadn't been able to receive the ring. But now, even though it wasn't in the form of a ring, Shannon had received something even greater. And as proof of that, a single tear with the same sparkle as a diamond dripped down. What a courageous answer. I see, if I really think about it, this was an easy decision for you. After all, your parents were already killed on the first Twilight, right? By now there's no one whose death would trouble you. I see, truly an easy choice. Okay, I certainly didn't expect him to make that choice. Say whatever you want. This determination and choice are mine, and mine is the successor. The sparkle in George's eyes was brilliantly sharp. For just an instant, Garth felt the same sense of threat as Kinzo's and was slightly overwhelmed. I see, he has the same decision as Goldsmith. So even with your innocent face, you will also become a terrible demon in the future. What do you know, we might get along pretty well. You will succeed Goldsmith. Eventually, I may even be summoned and serve you. It could be surprisingly interesting. Garb had needed to change her opinion of George. This man bore a determination and resolve unimaginable from his outward appearance, and not just now, but since the very beginning. I am prepared to inherit the headship right away. No, that's not it. You told me to think as the head in this test, so I answered based on the premise that I am the head. No, even that's not it. I thought as the head himself. I am now the head of the Yoshidomiya family. Are you, though? Splendid to think that you'd be able to go so far. It seems you truly are one to be reckoned with. Petals and Maria's tests remain, but I've got a good feeling that you'll pass. But only if that is your true, unexaggerated answer, you see. Do you doubt my resolve? Can you carry out the option you chose? Can you, right now, with your own hand, offer all the lives that exist on this island as sacrifices? By your own hand? Good Lord! Look at that face! Don't think we've ever seen him like that. I can. I've said I was prepared to do so several times. Then return to the guest house right away and kill Battler and Maria. Hold on, that's not fair. They still need to have their test, right? Also, let me check real quick if the test is, if the chat is still showing up. It is, okay. Just wanted to make sure since I had to. I didn't even realize, but it's true. Typing test right now is pretty much the most horrible timing for typing test in the chat. When that's done, I'll bring you the other hostages. Execute each of them except Shannon before her eyes. You can do it, right? I can. My resolve is on a whole different level from yours. Then carry it out. Death for them all. Complete this bloodstained ceremony as the new Ushinomiya family head. Understood. I'll carry it out. I'm already the Ushinomiya family head. Yes, that's right. Stain that throne red by your own hands. You will become the king of the spirit world who controls the demons. Garp was convinced. This man truly was fitting to succeed Kinzel's madness. I can't believe that this is actually his intention right now. He must be planning something. Blow wind, cry thunder, celebrate the birth of a new demon king. The demon island has now welcomed its new lord. How can you just proclaim that? I thought Kinzo had a say in this. In response to the demon's call, the tempest raged more and more. Then a massive lightning bolt fell, its tearing thunder and brilliant light giving the sensation of a moment of silence. So, about the order of the murders. I get to choose that, right? Please as you wish, your majesty, the new demon king of Orokunjima, as your heart desires. Well then, to start. You know, I was actually expecting this. I'm not sure about the rest, like, did he mean what he said or not? But I was kind of, whether he meant it or not, either way, I kind of expected him to say that he's gonna kill her now. Well then, to start, that means the first one's gonna be you. Got a problem with that? Huh? A gust of wind blew, stirring up George's jacket as if it was a cloak. It was very much like the cloak worn by the head. It definitely carried that impression of dignity. At that time, Garp truly did see the storm wiped away and the sky covered with a pure white and vast full moon. The man who called himself the new head bore the full moon on his back and sneered at the demon. Even the lives of the entire Ushinomiya family are no part of my fortune. Reparations will be made for the damage that's been done, and it won't come cheap. You didn't seriously think you could take my parents, or Natsuhi, Uncle Rudolph, Aunt Rosa, and Genji-san's lives and expect me to overlook it, right? Huh? Impertinence. Renov was trying to press his palm against Jessica's chest and stop her heart, but right before he could, his hand stopped. On the carpet at their feet, two small red flowers bloomed with a plop. The seed of those flowers was way up high, piercing into the heavens on Jessica's fist. What? Renov's nose was stained red with spewing blood, and those drops had been dripping to the carpet. By the way, that just now was my answer as a maiden. My answer as the successor is different. Allow me to ask. The person I love, my family and my relatives, everyone. I'll protect them. If I'm the head, then that's my duty. Dad wasn't just swaggering around, he protected me and Mom. He fought the pressure of succeeding the Ushinomiya family for decades. That's why I know. Being the successor is nothing trivial, so you know what? I can give it up. Betting my own life is something I can do easily. Jessica knew. She knew that in order to protect her family, her father had bluffed and fought alone continuously. Jessica understood something that his back had been telling her. Another left straight was buried into Renault's face. The terrifying strike wasn't due just to the brass knuckles she was using. Oh, damn, she's using brass knuckles. It was a strike of a person, a family head, who could throw away everything in order to protect. If Dad's lost his qualifications to be the successor, then I, the next in line, will succeed the headship. Head of the Ushinomiya family, Ushinomiya Jessica. I'm not the kind of coward who will let you do whatever you like anymore. A wonderful answer, also that hurt. I shall change your score from earlier. +10 for that answer, +10 for that splendid left straight. Which means that +20 more would make for a perfect 100, yeah? As Renov jumped backwards, somersaulting in mid-air, he violently wiped away the blood pouring from his nose. It had become not blood, but petals of a red rose. The blood on his face was wiped off, and in its place was a grin filled with a delight he hadn't felt in so many centuries that he couldn't remember. I, Renard, will test to see whether your resolve is worth full marks, understand? Shut up, shut up. Come at me. Come into the abyss. What? Oh. Suddenly beneath George's feet, a pitch-black pitfall opened its mouth wide. Of course, George had no way of resisting. After being swallowed up by that, George fell out of a pitch-black hole that had opened up in the ceiling of the arbor. As George fell down, he was hit by a reverse roundhouse kick from a sharp stiletto heel, like a strike from a carefully aimed beam. The instant George, after being blown out of the arbor, thought that he'd be swallowed up by a rose bush, another pitch-black hole opened there and swallowed George up. And this time, a pitch-black hole opened at Garb's feet before her eyes, spitting a defenseless George out of it. This is probably not going to end well, is it? Also, my bitrate dropped very much for a few seconds just now, but it's back up. I hope nothing was disconnected this time. At that time, Garb had already finished the preparatory motions for the next reverse roundhouse kick. What is this? Welcome back. Right side of the head, below the right armpit, side of the right knee. As Garb danced and spun like a small cyclone, she kept hitting him, left foot, right foot, with successive roundhouse kicks. The fourth one became a sweep, cutting George's feet out from under him and making him fall down. It is Mortal Kombat, yeah. But of course there was no floor there, but a pitch-black hole, and George was swallowed up once again. Garb once again spun around like a small cyclone. George was once again spat out from the ceiling of the arbor. Take this and reflect. The abyss ends with a single strike. Die! Man. Okay, so apparently everybody in the house is having internet problems right now, so it's got to be something more general and not just Twitch. Let's hope that it keeps up for now. Seems to be working again. Also, I'm pretty hoarse right now, so I'm going to use one more of these. So, does that mean George is going to die now and Jessica as well, after all? I mean, in the end, I kind of expect that now because, you know, they're trying to mess with the wrong people here. But for a second there, when George acted all super cool, I thought he might have a chance. The sharp strike of the queen bee pierced the heavens like a rising cyclone. It kicked through George's lower chest as he fell from the ceiling. Yeah, getting kicked in the chest is one thing, but getting kicked through the chest usually doesn't end well, I think. And then time froze. George was pinned in midair by Garb's raised leg. Still pinned in midair, George moaned. Then Garb, with George still hung up on her foot, grinned. I'll admit it, at least your attitude is that of an adult, but that's no good unless you have power to go with it. Did you know? They say you need 3 kinds of power to rule this world. The first one is influence. The second is wealth. Do you know what the last one is? I read it in a book. Force, right? Correct. And that is where you are lacking. Garb finally released George. She kicked upwards one more time, changing into another roundhouse kick and knocking him into a pillar. No one will feed a monarch without influence, without wealth, or without force. Kinzo possessed all 3 of those. That's why he reigned as a tyrant. If you're going to call yourself Kinzo's successor, try showing me a bit of that majesty, okay? Come on, how long are you gonna sleep there? Stand up, okay? If you don't, you'll fall again, see? Not bad movement. but I feel they're slightly unfitting for a lady. Bastard, swaying around all over the place. Aren't you gonna strike back? Don't take me lightly, you fucking bastard. Renov dodged skillfully, jumped back and avoided Jessica's fist, but he still didn't strike back himself. Because of its dodge that was as rapid as fluttering flag blown, as a fluttering flag blown by strong winds, Jessica's fist wasn't even able to touch him. Amidst the sensation that her own blood was boiling, Jessica regained her offensive composure. Even though this room was large for a bedroom, it was a very cramped place to keep up such exaggerated dodges in for long. She calmly realized that and started using not just her fists but her legs as well. Oh. Boxing with just your arms makes you but half a fighter. Your arms must be like the hot roar of a lion, and your legs must be like the cold snake closing in on its prey. Snakes don't have legs. I didn't even notice that, he said. I didn't even notice that when he said that, but yeah, snakes don't have legs. True. Jessica began cornering Renov towards the wall with perfect footwork. She didn't let him get around her. Renov's magnificent dodges looked flashy, but they needed a large footing. Once cornered, he wouldn't be able to dodge anymore. Jessica knew the characteristics of her weapon, the breast knuckle, very well. Why, has she been using that a lot? It's a bit... Okay, why not? This powerful weapon's most notable characteristic was how it didn't give the opponent a chance to defend. Even if they blocked with their arm, that arm would receive direct damage. If it hit the wrong way, it might even break the bone. So she cornered him. With this fist, she had whittled away at this demon who had lost any way to escape. Whoops. Oh, when did... Looks like I finally cornered you, right? Where's everyone being held? Where's the damn geezer? You tell me everything and I'll let you off with nothing more than plucking that mustache off. Got it? That would be a problem. It does take me an hour every morning to set this. Once you're in a cast, you won't even be... you won't even be able to do that, right? Whoops. Ugh. Renov had blocked Jessica's fist with his arm. He tried to act as though it was no big deal, but it must have hurt a lot. Jessica grinned. Renov smiled the same way, but twitched slightly. Oh, I see. This certainly does hurt. Here's my last bit of advice. Try and apologize. That I cannot do. It would ruin my image. Then just crumple. Rapid fire! Jessica's fists were buried into Renov, but there was a resistance that seemed too hard and the sound of breaking glass, which startled Jessica. At a glance, it looked like Renov had caught Jessica's fist with his palm. That wasn't quite true. When Renov opened his hand, a faint purple glowing barrier like a glass shield appeared, stopping the attack by a hair's breadth. Pulling herself together, Jessica let her fists fly again, but with a truly magnificent gesture, Renov caught all of them. I am, after all, a demon. This level of magic is nothing. Even so, you aren't bad at all. If I were a human, I would probably resign right here. Because I am a demon, I can still continue to fight. What are you trying to pull? Is this the end? Or are you simply going to attack all the time while neglecting your defense? Huh? Oh, Renault's palm shot to within a hair's breadth of Jessica's stomach. Jessica was knocked away by the purple shield, rolled backwards, and smashed her head on the bed. My shield cannot be broken by a mere human. Don't think that you'll ever be able to toss my body again. In that case, I'll just burst through that shield. Persistent, I see. Yes, a truly fitting spirit for the successor. Perhaps I'll be your opponent for just a while longer. This is also part of an examiner's role. Break? Did you just use a limit break or something? Garp looked down on George, sneering. George was on a path in the rose garden, lying face down in a puddle. The merciless rain beat down on him, so that it looked as though even the heavens were mocking him. Stand up, okay? You'll fall again, right? They really should have brought guns. George stood up shakily. It seemed his spirit hadn't given in, but the damage done to his body was fairly significant. Beg for your life? What you're doing now is the same as the fourth option of choosing nothing. You chose the third option, right? If you get down on your hands and knees and apologize, I'll forgive your rudeness towards me. Then I'll guide you down to the dungeon. There, for your beloved Shannon and your own powerless life, you will kill the other hostages one by one. You can do it, right? You did boast about having that resolve. George didn't answer, but his gaze was still obstinately resisting surrender. If you are too obstinate, then this time you really will fall to the deepest depths of the abyss, okay? Garb's strength was evident. That was probably clear, even more than it was to George himself, to Shannon's group watching through this three-sided mirror. George Summer, that's enough. For someone like me. Nissan. If you didn't like me, you wouldn't have to fight with anyone, right, George Summer? Then please abandon me. Please forget me. There was no way that voice could have reached George, but even so, George answered. No way. I won't surrender. Oh? Why not? Because that's my resolve. I'll fight everything for Shannon's sake, and I'll make everything accept us. And bless us. Could you tell me something? Why are you willing to go so far for that furniture called Shannon? She's just a washout, isn't she? Rubbish furniture that couldn't even make a satisfactory waitress. I won't permit any more insults against the woman I love. So what are you going to do about it? How could a weak kid like you resist me? Loving someone is strength, because I learned that I was able to become strong. Shannon, I love you. With just those words, I can stand back up over and over again. Shannon is in the dungeon, right? Professing your love to me won't... No, she heard. That's because it's love. Shannon can hear my words right now. The reason I can believe that is because of love. Shannon, you aren't furniture. Even if you are furniture, you're mine alone, the only one for me in the world. I want you to be close to me as long as we live. I need you for all eternity. George Summer. I'm jealous. He surpassed my husband in smooth talking. That's youth for you. The strength of love? Then why are you so weak, boy? Does that weakness mean your love is also that weak? Even your love for your fiancé is weak. The way your parents died so quickly was weak. Everything about your life is weak. Shannon taught me about love and strength. If you're truly trying to measure my love towards Shannon by my strength alone, let me teach you about my love. So you say, I get it now. You're saying that the way you can still stand up after being kicked down so many times is the strength you received from Shannon. In that case, what did you receive from your parents who got killed way too easily? At that time there was a blackout, even though they were outside. No, this is... The thing blocking Garb's vision was the bottom of George's shoe. Side kick. Nasal bone fractured. It had stopped right in front of the tip of Garb's nose. The thing I got from Mom was this kick. Several moments after, Garb jumped back. Of course, that was too late. If George hadn't stopped, he would probably have caused the damage he had announced. And what I got from that is fortitude. Anger with a low boiling point isn't something to be truly feared. True anger is disciplined by fortitude. I recognize your valid method of declaring your intentions. I also see that you've slandered my fiancé and my parents' honor. And you have no intention of taking back what you said, yes? You! I now understand your attacks more than enough. So maybe it's about time to start fighting back. Quit prattling, foolish boy. A pitch-black hole opened its mouth at George's feet, but George rapidly opened his legs, straddling the hole. The same move won't work again. It was an extremely smooth dodge, and the upper part of his body didn't even quiver. Fortitude means calmly analyzing how your opponent will act, instead of losing your cool. Why? Isn't it obvious? Cat. Can't you guess? Typical cat behavior. doesn't know if she wants inside or not. Can you guess? No, I can't. It's to counter, to give back exactly what you got, to make them not want to take another pass at you, to make them cover their face in tears and snot and forget to wash it off, to make them want to rub their forehead on the ground and apologize over and over, to completely, perfectly and thoroughly beat them until they can't get up. George dashed. Pitfalls opened one after another, but George didn't step in them again, and because he was persistent, he was able to reach Garb a second time. Reverse roundhouse. Jaw fractured. It was stretched out more forcefully and beautifully than Garb's had been. Of course, while it centered directly on Garb's face, it stopped a hair's breadth away. Perhaps he couldn't rely on pitfalls at this close range. Garb kicked at George's shins as a diversion, and in the instant of weakness when he tried to deal with that, she aimed a kick at his stomach. It was a bee-like stab by her stiletto heel, but it sliced through the air where George no longer was. High X kick, collarbone fractured. By Garb's side, George calmly announced that, his foot still raised, if that monarch's heel had swung down, a collarbone fracture would probably have been the least of her worries. This guy is stronger than me at close range. I need distance. She jumped backwards to open a large gap between them. She jumped and leapt and even flipped in mid-air, increasing that distance. It should have been in this event, but for some reason it was very similar to the movements of a small, scared animal. If she opened the distance between them, she'd be able to find at the range that was her specialty, using a mixture of pitfalls and kicking techniques. You fool, you'll regret the pride that made you let 3 chances of defeating me slide, as you fall into the depths of the abyss. Huh? When she magnificently landed and tried to aim a pitfall, a razor-sharp wind cut Garb's bangs. Yes, it cut them. It happened twice. This time it didn't just stop a hair's breadth away, but scattered her bangs with its air pressure. Amana com martello. The fundus of the eye fractured with the first strike. Cerebral contusion with the second strike. Garb was too shocked to speak. George had closed in over all at that distance in an instant, letting off a fearsomely nimble mid-air double kick. Furthermore, with the accuracy and edge of a razor, it had cut nothing more than several of her bangs. I learned the power of kicks from karate, sped from taekwondo, and freedom of range from capoeira. Mum was pretty fickle, but I've learned from studying various merits. Why don't you hit me? You aren't going to say it's because I'm a woman, right? You spoke of force as a monarch's third power. It looks like you still misunderstand the meaning of that force. In this situation, force doesn't mean hastily wielded violence. It refers to a deterrent, knowledge that if someone opposes the monarch, that person won't get away unharmed. A deterrent, you say? In short, this is what it meant. This was why all of George's attacks up until then had stopped a hair's breadth away. These bare misses, which were more difficult than hitting directly, had all been performed so splendidly. Also, if George had wished it, any of those would probably have crushed Garb. He had daringly not done that. You said it yourself, right? Force is the power to control. If you cross your opponent with force, you won't be able to control them, right? A monarch's force is something that is only shown. He does not crush. He makes others surrender and ask them to his own fortune. If you start blowing bubbles, I won't be able to make you guide me to where the hostages are. I was about to say, he probably didn't outright murder her because he still wants to question her. He probably just wants to, like, knock her enough that she gives up, or is unable to fight back anymore. Garb had to admit it. She had to admit that George understood force in its truest sense. You'll take me to where everyone is. I would advise against resisting. I won't stop short next time. Sorry, Leah. Let me borrow your troops. This guy's too much for me alone to handle. Oh no. As a large pitch-black hole opened in the sky, thunk, 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 3 muscular goat attendants fell out. They surrounded George. Reinforcements. Should I take this to mean that you take back all that about me being weak? I admit it. I made light of your human power. That's wrong. This is the strength of a man who's experienced alone. How can you say stuff like that with a straight face? Come, goats. Crush this man and turn him into meatballs. These goats are stupid, but it looks like they at least have power. I'll turn you into a corpse that even your fiancée won't be able to recognize. You refuse to surrender and intend to continue fighting. Understood. Know that from now on you will receive real harm proportional to your own attacks. If you still plan on attacking me, prepare to sustain a great deal of damage. When George proclaimed that, a faint red magic circle arose around him. It seemed that George couldn't see it rose up around him. However, Garp, being a demon, could. Magic? Why does this guy have a defensive barrier? And that's also a counter-attacking type? Is this what you meant by a deterrent? From a demon's perspective, that may have been magic, but in George's eyes it was determination. It was a determination filled with certainty, which would be merciless to anyone who wished to fight anymore, and which would force them to prepare for a significant counterattack. Determination with certainty becomes magic. Renov had been accurately blocking Jessica's fist with the shield, but something felt odd. Even though he was certainly catching them on the shield, he felt his arm get jarred, and it hurt. It should have prevented all physical damage. However, the damage from her fists was gradually being transmitted to his arm, piling up. Renov tried to act like he was composed so that this wouldn't be noticed. I'm not gonna get worn out. What's wrong, old guy? Starting to get a little tough? No matter how much you attack, it is useless. Why can't you understand that you cannot break my shield? I'm not gonna stop hitting you just because it won't break. No matter how hard someone's heart is, if you keep on talking to them little by little, it'll eventually start to crack. I believe it, and believe that useless effort doesn't exist in this world. That's why I can live to the fullest. If words will eventually make it through, then the same goes for fists. That's a surprisingly martial way, I guess, but suppose it fits. Give up isn't written anywhere in my dictionary. Those words were probably aimed at Kanon, who had seemed to reject Jessica's words, but Jessica knew that, no matter how stubborn his heart was, those words would eventually soak through. She believed that they would surely reach his heart, that the day would come when he would stop calling himself furniture and disparaging himself, and that he'd step out into a new life. So Jessica didn't give up. She didn't lose heart. It's stupid, right? I bet a guy couldn't understand, right? A girl in love doesn't even think about giving up just because it's useless. At that time, Renov certainly saw. He saw the reddish glow of light that encircled Jessica's fists. This is not good. An enchantment, is it? Permeating upgrade will be troublesome. Inside her unrelenting fists and determination dwelled the power to succeed no matter what. From a demon's perspective, that was magic. Determination with certainty becomes magic. See? Nothing useless about it. Looks like my fists are making it through. Brought your arm, old guy. It seems I will have to get a little more serious. It appears it is as you said. In this world, nothing is useless. That's right. If you give up because something's useless, that's when your life ends. You'll get through. You can be sure of that. I'm an idiot, so this is the only way I can live. But even so, I'm sure I'll be able to teach Kanon-kun about a new world someday. So I'm not gonna lose heart in a place like this. I'll definitely defeat you and save everyone. Damn, got to somehow open the hole. Didn't they mention earlier that they wanted to trick the goats into something? Because right now you're not doing that, Klaus. Klaus was repeating his useless effort to somehow open a hole between the metal bars. Useless. Nothing is useless. There's nothing... The lookout goats had been swallowed up by those black pitfalls and disappeared. Oh, they're gone. Oh, I see. That's why she meant what she meant earlier when she said she was going to borrow Vajilia's things. I thought she just summoned a few more, but she actually took the ones from here. Now was their once-in-a-lifetime chance. This was their only chance to break the bars. Stop it, it's impossible, Klaus-san. There's nothing we can do with our bare hands. Let's look for a tool, don't waste time on the impossible. If you give up because it's useless, then it's all over. That's what my daughter said. Even if my body won't fit, as long as a small person like Shen and Kanon can make it through. Now that we've reached this point, action is more important than wrecking our brains. Let's work together, I'll do it too. Kanon-kun, you're a boy, aren't you? Lend a hand. Kanon-kun? Oh, is he gonna help? Klaus-sama, please stand back. What? What are you planning? Okay, Nesan. Just one more time. Let's try struggling. Yes, I too will struggle one more time. No, not just one more time. Over and over again. Jessica's voice had reached Kanon. It certainly had permeated into his cold, rock-like heart. and George's voice had reached Shannon. If the love he had shown was embodied by strength, she would have to respond in the same way. An incredible metal sound rang out. In the first flash, several metal bars were severed horizontally, and in the next flash, they were severed horizontally again, causing many metal bars to clatter to the ground like bamboo shoots cut by a sword. Klaus, Kiri, and Nanjo didn't even have a clue what had just happened. Dr. Nanjo, which way down the corridor goes to the mansion?
What the fuck did you just do? Of course, in and to the left, in and to the left.
Let's go, Klaus-sama. Virgilia-sama will notice us at any moment now. What in the world are you guys? We are. When Kanon hung his head a little and faltered, Shannon slapped his shoulder, smiled, and spoke. We're human. Virgilia-sama, response from the lookout web. It's a jailbreak. The goat guards aren't there for some reason. What? Why? Maybe Kinzo shouldn't have summoned so many people who are apparently complete idiots. It's Gap, isn't it? Taking someone else's summonings without asking. Gap. Gap, Gap. Gap, 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 Gap. Confirming battle regulations. Requesting permission to fire at the escapees. Do it. Kill them. Kill. Gap, 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 Gap. What is she doing? Is she having a stroke? Understood. 45, 410. Prepare for sniping pursuit combat. Ammo type guided cluster rounds. Virgilia-sama, an escape prevention barrier if you would. Oh, whoa. Yes, you're right. I won't let you escape from here. I bit my tongue saying... So that's what it was. This can't end well, can it? The underground passage in front of them was once again blocked by metal bars. The door was of course locked. However, that was no problem for them now.
Kanon, it's those metal bars again. We're counting on you.
Yes, Klaus-sama. Still, that's incredible. I wonder what kind of principle it works on.
I'm not interested in principles. All that matters is that you can sever the metal bars and that we can escape from here. Don't worry, Kanon. Do it.
Leave it to me. Kanon sliced the metal bars again with his red curved blade, but there was a harsh, strange noise and the metal bars only had a slight scratch.
What is this? These are sturdy.
Wrong. They're enchanted. It's one of Virgilia-sama's magic locks. Can you cut through it? Of course, but it will take time.
Well, wait 3 minutes.
After taking a deep breath and concentrating his mind, Kanon extended a red curved sword again. What do you mean we'll wait 3 minutes? Do you have an alternative? When he pressed it hard against the metal bar, sparks sprayed almost as though he was melting through it with a burner. That's a nasty sound.
It looks like we'll be able to cut it, but it'll be tough.
Klaus-sama, you've been targeted by the enemy. Please move back. Huh? Pursue us? There's no one coming. Please get behind me. They're aiming for you. Oh, she has that barrier, right? 45 data received, target log acquired, commencing terrain calculation, error correction, formulating firing curve, supplemental control point calculations complete, data link to 410. 410 data received, checking hazard zone, no problems. 00 loading 48 sub-rounds, individual homing FNF. Guided cluster rounds, preparations complete. 45 firearm preparations concluded, loading guided cluster rounds. 410, firing. A golden arrow that sparkled gold. Yeah, I mean, what else would it sparkle? You just said it was a golden arrow. Was fired, leaving a gold tail streaming behind. Oh, really? It drew a curve, went through the door, through the keyhole, down the stairs towards the underground path at full speed. Yeah, I guess there was more variety in Japanese there. Because a golden arrow that sparkled gold, leaving a gold tail, kind of sounds a bit ridiculous.
Something soon!
You can't block the golden arrow with a shield. Kanon can interception stance. Let's link. Gatekeeper, understood. It's been a long time since I fought with Unis. What the hell? Don't screw up. Gatekeeper? Yeah, I'll be serious. Are they maybe robots or something? Well, no, but that can't be. Then there's no problem. Kanon stopped cutting the bars and stood in front of Shannon. Behind him, Shannon closed her eyes, concentrating her mind deep into the darkness of the underground path. A guided cluster round is a special kind of arrow made up of 48 sub-rounds bound together. It explodes mid-flight and divides into 48 mini-arrows. The strength of each individual one is low, but they pierce through all shields and possess a perfect wounding and killing power against personnel. And on top of that, each one of the 48 possesses autonomous guidance towards their individual targets. It's shown. It's divided. Confirming guided cluster round division. 46, 47, 48, 48 sub-rounds, all rounds locked onto. Interception control, data linked to Kanon. Kanon, data received. You're incredible, Nissan. You can actually see all 48. Concentrate on interception prioritization. Trust your Nissan. Of course, I don't even need to open my eyes. Commanding interception. Target unharmed. It was intercepted. Yeah? All 48 of them? So much for you never miss your target, huh? Well, after all, Shannon and Kana were originally a furniture pair. They're strong when they're together. Ah, is this gonna become a mouth ulcer or something? Calm down. Reload. Updating ammo type. Precision light speed sniper rounds. Preparing for precision sniping. Sounds good, yeah. Impossible to intercept super high speed rounds. Impossible for a mere gatekeeper to defend against, yeah. Precision sniping, roger that. Commencing collection of precision firing use data. What in the world was that just now? Don't worry, I don't have a clue either. All I know is that we would have died if not for these two. Kanokun, thanks. Go back to the metal bars. The next shot will probably be one we can't intercept.
How can we defend against such an attack?
We don't let them shoot. Kanokun, initiate spirit particle combat countermeasures. At those words, Kanon closed his eyes tightly and ground his teeth. With Shannon at the center, a pressure and impact that only non-humans could perceive struck. Huh? Firing system error? No good. Rebooting. Huh? It's spirit wave jamming. Activate spirit particle safeguards, hurry. What are you doing? Cover your ears quickly, 45. How again is Battler going to explain all of this? An unseen, unheard impact had struck the Cheester sisters. 00 and 410 crouched down, covering their ears, but 45 didn't make it in time. As she stood bolt upright, her eyes rolled. 45 got damaged. Her IME is busted. Yeah, the noise is also horrible for me. Yeah. 45, 410, and 00 damaged. Abandoning sniping posture. It came straight through the link. If we don't reboot. Raising their spirit particle sensitivity for precision sniping had backfired. They had taken the full brunt of the spirit particle shockwave Shannon had released, and not only 45 who had been hit directly, but also 00, 0, and 410 who had been linked with her were taken down. Are you okay? I'll make you some more delicious black tea later, so get a hold of yourselves. Yeah, I don't think they're okay. My apologies, sir. Rebooting. Please wait several hundred seconds. All of the Cheester sisters had fallen over. They would probably get back up eventually, but it looked like it would be hard for them to return to the battle lines for a while. So furniture was able to repel weapons, if only for a moment. I see. Oh no, not that face. I had hoped never to see that again. A plot to entertain the child truly will be filled with unexpected turns. Virgilia tore the air with a large gesture, motioning as though opening a door. Come, arise, goat attendants. It's time to work. Catch and kill the escapees. Corpses are fine, we can just revive them anyway. A gold-colored door opened in the air and countless giant goats with muscular bodies peeked their faces out. Come now, hurry. There are 5 escapees, so the fastest 5 of you win. There will be a wonderful prize, so give it your all, give it your all. Virgilia clapped her hands, urging them on. A prize? After facing each other at those words, the goats all rushed to the door at once, trying to get out, making the exit as packed as the Tozai or the Yamanote rail lines in the morning. They really aren't the brightest tool in the shed, are they? Each wanted to get out first, so none of them could get out. Virgilia held her head in frustration. By that time, Kanon had managed to cut enough bars to make a crack that could be slipped through. It had been a bit of work for Klaus, large as he was, a ninja with its lethal waist. But even so, they all managed to make it through. but after they did, they only had a couple of seconds to be relieved. Immediately another set of metal bars blocked the way in front of them. This certainly is secure. I'll bet they really didn't want the people in here to escape.
Connor, sorry, but I'll have to ask you again. It may be tough, but please.
There was sweat on Connor's forehead. You could tell at a glance that cutting the metal bars, which had been made even more solid by magic, had physically exhausted him. Yes, leave it to me, Klaus Sommer.
Only you can do it. Please, we're counting on you.
Only he could do it. Holding tightly onto those words, Connor concentrated his mind once again and set himself to the task of cutting metal bars again. Enemies are coming from behind. Multiple targets. Yeah, this time even we can tell. The ground is really shaking. I can tell that some ridiculous monsters are rushing at us. Don't worry, I'll use a magic lock to make a blockade of the metal bars we just came through. Mere goats won't be able to break it. Shannon held her hand out towards the metal bars they had gone through. But she stopped right away. What is it? Virgilia somehow started neutralizing the spirit wave jamming. It'll be bad if it's broken, and we lose the initiative once the cheese justices are rebooted. I'll make you pay in full for bullying these cute bunnies. If you're trying to gain that advantage with those clever spirit particles of yours, I'll tear all that away and rob you of them. Yes, I'll concentrate on the spirit wave jamming. The gap in those metal bars is too narrow for those goats. It should hold them back for a while.
I don't have a clue what you're saying, but...
We know it's something pretty bad. Kyria picked up a metal bar that Connor had just cut. Klaus had no weapon, but he rubbed his fists, and the two of them glared into the depths of the underground passage where the shaking was coming from. I believe these are the final metal bars blocking the way.
How far is it to the mansion from here?
Quite a walk. The path is even, but I seem to remember walking for 30 minutes. So if we run all out, it'll be half that time. They couldn't tell for sure since they didn't have the three-sided mirror, but there was no guarantee that George and Zeko would still be alright against demon opponents after all this time. If we run at twice the speed of walking, it will be 15 minutes, and twice that speed would make it 8 minutes.
And if we sprint all out at a double that speed, it won't even take 5. No problem.
What an unreasonable calculation, but that's how you calculate in a fire. My sincere apologies, everyone. Please watch my back.
Leave it to us. Connor, you cut the bars as fast as you can. Shannon, you concentrate on jamming this witch called Virgilia or whatever. Kyria's son and I will defend against our pursuers.
Then the roars of beasts rang out from the darkness, and several fiery, glowing bright red eyes appeared. Goats that were several levels more massive than the guards were rushing with an incredible force. The tremors they created were almost like an earthquake. They brought a frightening intensity and terror, but Kyria actually laughed with relief. Those massive bodies wouldn't be able to go through the crack in the bars. The group of goats crashed into the metal bars with a fierce sound like that of a train colliding with a dead end. Clumps of dirt fell here and there from the ceiling, and you could tell that the metal bars had bent as if collapsing. The charging power probably was on par with the train. If the metal bars hadn't been there, they would likely have overwhelmed the 5 of them and crushed them in an instant. When the group of goats pressing up against the metal bars noticed the 5 people right in front of them, they let out a terrible howl trying to intimidate the 5. I would assume that would be very intimidating. Or maybe that was out of pain from their game of push and shove. One calm goat among them figured out what should be done about the metal bars, then grabbed 2 of them with his massive arms and began banding them as though opening double doors. Kyria sharply jabbed her metal pole at that goat's vitals. The goat let out a roar of anguish. It probably hurt a lot, but that was all. It wasn't enough to bring it down. Klaus-san. Still holding the metal pole she had stuck out, Kyria relinquished the opposite tip to Klaus. Klaus ran there with all his might, jumped up and kicked down with all his weight, and kicking power combined. All of that destructive power was focused on a single pole, drilling it in. Are you okay? Please don't rub the affected area. I'll prescribe some medicine later. Take care. What the hell? As the goat who'd taken a pile bunker to its vital rift with teary eyes, it nodded its head. Looks like our link isn't that bad either. We won't lose to Shannon-chan and Kanon-kun.
Naturally, for a loving family like us. We can do it if we take them together. Next that one on the right. Understood. You really are a good wife. That Rudolph must have grumbled a little too much.
Oh, tell me about it later. Rudolphson suddenly turning pale in heaven won't do you any good, okay? The goat's massive bodies were buried in rose bushes. Even taking into account that a leg's power is 3 times that of an arm's, this strength surpassed common sense. To think that those massive bodies had been kicked in the chin and flown through the air, it was too fierce. Even George seemed a little surprised. To think that my kick works on monsters too. Now there's a shock. It's because of your counterattack style barrier. The attacking power that grazes you is added onto your own. Your kick has been supplemented by those monsters' superhuman strength. Oh? I don't really get it, but isn't that just perfect for me? No matter who attacks me, they should be prepared for a counterattack of equal measure. Non-aggressive defense. That's my policy. That's why Garp couldn't easily touch him. The counterattack style barrier had no defensive power, however, because of its countering ability, it could be useful in defense by making the opponent hesitate to attack. The goats had been foolish and so had attacked without worrying, but this second effect had worked in full against Garp. These guys really are dull. When your power is even, it's always an advantage to have a smaller build. He lightly dodged the log-like arms. When those arms touched the barrier that protected George, they let off a strong red light. The tip of the counter-attacking foot would then gain the same sparkle, and the superhuman power of the goat added to its own. The second goat fell forward and floated in the air for a second. Then George's next roundhouse kick missed right over the fallen goat's head. For an instant, the goat hoped it might get away with its life. But no, a heel was dropped onto the back of its head and it was forced to kiss the ground. Going from a high roundhouse kick into a nearly chuggy is pretty basic, right? Works pretty well every now and then. This guy is a problem, seriously a problem. What do you mean, demons? What do you mean, witches? The rulers of Rokkenjima, they will shoot at me a family. I'll make you physically aware of that. You... The only way to finish off George, now that his body was wrapped up in a counterattack style barrier, was to deny him a chance to counterattack. Nothing to do but suck him into the abyss next, then kick and drop him, kick and drop him, kick and drop him, until she kicked him to death. So, by the way, I have a feeling that all this fantastical stuff happening right now is just, once more, like the battle between Virgilia and Beatrice, to utterly defeat Battler, make him completely helpless, because so much crazy stuff is happening now that I can already see Beatrice saying at the end, "See, how are you going to explain all this?" But I wonder if it's going to work on him again. It worked at first, but then Virgilia herself helped him overcome it, so maybe it won't work again anyway. But George had already completely seen through the faint warning signs that told of the appearance of Garp's pitfalls. If he could jump over that next pitfall, then this time he would probably pulverize Garp's head with his whirlwind-like kick without holding back in the slightest, just as had been done to his parents. She was able to envision that scene vividly. Garp hated Kinzo more than ever for calling her out to this ridiculous island. Even though Renov held out a shield, he had finally started using his hands. Without a more powerful shield, he wouldn't be able to block Jessica's fists anymore. The enchantment on Jessica's fists grew the more she fought. The permeating upgrade had already grown several times, and those fists had also been given an impact upgrade, a piercing upgrade, and a speed upgrade, making them fists worthy to fight on par with a demon. What's wrong? Starting to get tired? You're getting all slow. No, your movements and those in kinetic vision have been rapidly enchanted. My movements have not changed from the beginning. Your movements are beginning to catch up to me. And you still won't fight back? This is my style. However, I can't allow it to continue at this rate. It's about time for me to get serious and end this. You said that before. Arnold's face turned into an expression he hadn't shown before. It was full of respect for Jessica in a truly demonic way, because it was an expression he only showed for enemies who made him get serious. What? What the? With a gesture of his whole body that you couldn't call elegant, Renov held out a shield with all his strength, a shield the size and thickness of a wall. It was more tenacious than a simple shield. It literally was a wall. And on top of that, with all of Renov's magical power, it pushed Jessica back, bit by bit. Did he plan on pushing her back against the wall and crushing her to death? Jessica tried to break through the wall with both fists, but it was solid. Without any exaggeration, it was solid. Kinda like the... reminds me of that one boss battle in Final Fantasy VII, the demon wall. Is this what you call serious? No problem, I'll break right through it. I will not let you this time. This wall is somewhat different. Here, allow me to enchant it as well. When Renov made a magic sign, almost like a ninja, the wall glowed red for just an instant, and some kind of ominous power dwelled within it. Jessica was able to recognize that almost immediately with her body. Every time her fists hit the wall, pain as though glass fragments had scattered and hit all over her body, rebounded against her. I upgraded it with attack reactive armor, an exceptional item that will decrease the force of your attacks by counterbalancing them, and which can even counter-attack with reactive fragments. It's perfectly fine to keep punching it, but doing so will damage you as well. In short, it's an endurance test between me and your wall. No problem. Well, you fall to your knees first, or be pushed into the wall first. Allow me to observe. Except I might break through it and smash that whole wall again along with your face, right? Watch it. Without hesitation, Jessica punched using both fists. Each time she did, a large amount of shards scattered, torturing her entire body. Instantly, several red flashes appeared all over her. She grimaced at the intense agony, but her eyes were burning with fighting spirit, and her lips curved in a grin that stood in sharp contrast to the pain.
Connor, are you done yet? We're fine. But the metal bars blocking them don't seem to be.
Just a little more. There's no stopping these guys. These metal bars might break just from them shoving each other. The group of goats made the metal bars creak. Several arms grabbed the bars, twisting them with superhuman strength. However, some bars were being pulled in opposite directions by different hands. It's really good these are idiots. Apparently they really were stupid. The way those countless hands grabbed the metal bars sometimes happened to match up by chance. Several hands grasping two metal bars neatly put their power together and pulled the bars to the left and right. The incredible sound of metal bar bending could be heard, and that crack was getting larger bit by bit. They attacked the arms of those goats one by one, but they weren't getting anywhere. They couldn't stop the gap from spreading left and right. At that time there was a loud metal sound behind them. Conan had finally finished cutting. Quickly!
Here, son, ladies first. You go next, Dr. Nanjo.
Blossom, please leave this place to me. This is... Conan's red sword that had cut the metal bars disappeared. Sorry, we've entered Vigilia-sama's spirit part of the area of influence. Our magic power has been neutralized. How dare you resist me this far? I, who was called a great witch. You can no longer use your magic in that underground passage. That magic circle column drew a complex magical formula with Vigilia at the center. With such genuine magic being used, Shannon's power couldn't even compete. On the contrary, it was surprising that she had withstood as long as she had. Spirit particle supremacy ensured. Come, sisters, it's your turn now, right? Wait, are you still rebooting? Why are kids these days so bad at waking up? But my apologies, we're all different versions. Why do the shortcuts and pull-downs... Why do the shortcuts and pull-down menus get all screwed up every time you change versions? Yeah, you did not shut down correctly last time? Administrator privilege? What's going on? I don't know. OQ, fix me quickly. Call the Imperial Guard's troubleshooting team. What? You can't help us without a user code? 45 at the user code, yeah? It just sounds like 9999 in Japanese to me. Have to write it on some paper. She can't reinstall her IME, so she can't write characters, yeah? You take your time fixing yourselves. I'm going. Sorry. The narrow underground passage was packed with ghosts, truly like a commuter train in the morning. Vigilia was again shocked by this congestion. What are you doing? Huh? You want to go first because you won the prize? You're getting in each other's way because you don't want the other goats to steal the prize from you? She probably shouldn't have said that. You stupid goats! I'm going, so make way. What? Don't want to? Vigilia-sama is trying to steal your prize. Why are you all standing arm in arm? Tight crap. Why did this become a goat's only car? You, that kid who just touched my butt, get off at the next stage. Huh? What's with you? Come this way, you say? The 5-inch Klaus's group dashed through the passageway with all their strength. They couldn't dawdle around in an underground place like this. They had to quickly join up with the children on the surface. If they could meet up, there would no longer be any more sorrow. At that time, a terrible rumble started chasing them. Had their pursuers finally made it through the metal bars? But they couldn't see anyone when they turned around. However, that rumble in the dirt that fell here and there from the ceiling grew closer and closer, finally catching up with them and even going past them. It felt almost like being chased by ghosts. For a second, they thought they had gotten away until the ceiling in front of them fell in and a single goat stood in their path. Virgilio was sitting on its shoulder,